Boston George this, Boston George that. I bring him over like Boston George. But did y'all know that Boston George is a rat? Do you know that Boston George cooperated on a lot of individuals that helped the government get brought down? Now, if nobody don't know who Boston George, he was the associate. He was one of the most respected drug dealers, drug traffickers, drug kingpins in the 80s. The reason why he was respected is because he used to be a hell of a weed seller, right? Then he got with Carlos Leather, and it was somebody in between them, and what ended up happening was he was selling blow for Pablo Escobar and good individuals over there, and he was getting a lot of money. Carlos wound up trading on him, or whatever the case may have went. You have to understand that he's the trader. No one traded on him but himself. He was a rat. He ended up telling after doing a few bids, but at the end of the day, those type of individuals, they prepare themselves in the cell. You have to remember that once they get their first arrest, they look at the guidelines, and a lot of dudes will stand tall. They may stand tall that first go. They learn things, and they speak with rats, especially those that walk with rats. Watch out for them, because they kind of learn the game. I can remember a dude that was from South Philly. I forgot his name, man. What was this boy's name? Matter of fact, his name was Wom Wom. He was from now South Philly somewhere. I don't know exactly where from, but his name was Wom Wom. Everybody called him Wom Wom. But I remember that me and a guy named Derek that I grew up with, we went to school together. We went to Cook Middle School together, and Derek was a real good dude at Cook Middle School. I'm talking about, he was like I would say a man of honor. And you know, it was a lot of us back then. But I really saw him change as he began to get a couple pennies as we was coming up, and he was, you know, down Huntington Park moving around. We get to the can, I runs into him. He's a cold, when I say a cold wimp. When I say he's a wimp, I had a lot of respect for this boy. Me and my man Donnie Warzone was very tight, and Donnie even had a lot of respect for this boy. But it was something about him that was different. Something about him that became very weak. And I started hearing things about his first case, and you start remembering, like, hold on for a second. This guy, I don't know, man. This guy never really proved himself. I never heard about him really working out. Heard about him getting to a couple of dollars or carrying a pistol on him, but I never really heard about him working out. And I can remember Wom Wom coming into the prison, and when he came into the jail, you know, everybody was like, the boys on your block, he's a cold rat. And at this prison, it was like a situation where the rats was accepted, you know, but I wasn't accepting none of them. So my thing was, if a rat was on our block, I needed to check that, because I need to allow him to know that he can't be around me. I don't care what he do with other dudes, but he can't be around me. And if you're on my block and you cause confusion, sitting up top. But the situation was, it was like 90 rats and probably about, the give or take to the whole prison, 20 dudes that would stand up straight. So when Wom Wom came into jail, I caught Derek talking to him. And Derek was an individual that was supposed to be, you know, a guy, like a man of honor. So when I saw them talking to each other inside the chapel area, I walked up and very nicely and respectfully. And I said, what's going on here? They both looked silent, like, what's going on? What's up, Neef? What's up, man? I said, what's going on here? I said, D, you know this boy's a rat, right? You told me this. You told me he was a rat. Why are you conversing with him? D walked off, man. He was like, no, I gotta go, but y'all, no, bro, we gonna talk. And the guy, Wom Wom, was like one of the most very mannerable rats you can ever run into. He knew his place, and he was like, no, man, it wasn't like that. You know, at the end of the day, you know, like, he always tell people lies and stuff like that. So, you know, how this stuff came in my head, like, you know, there's two rats that rock with one another, you know what I'm saying? So let them rats be amongst each other. But then there was another incident when a good brother by the name of Mustafa gets snuck with pool balls. So that blew my mind too, because it was like, I'm hearing that you watched this, Derek. You was on a block with him, and you made up an excuse. You was with him up until he get caught up in the nonsense. Now I want all the youngins to understand that. Watch out for these type of dudes that come around you and act like they with it, and then when they start getting crazy, they back out. And that's what type of guy Derek was. He was the type of individual that back out, but him and Womp and there was a lot of other dudes, they had a pack. This pack was like vicious. And I used to tell my man Keenan all the time, man, your man Shiz be with them balls, man. You keep talking about that ball solid. Is that ball really solid? And Keenan swore up into me, man, he was solid. And then I never forget, I went home and I was talking to Keenan on the phone. He said, damn, man, what you told me, how your feelings was about that guy when he talked to you when you came off that violation, you said you don't know, man, that boy seemed strange. And I denied it. I said, no, man, that boy stand tough. He said, man, that boy ain't right. I said, man, well, I don't want to hear about it, because I tell everybody at that time I was the individual to go to, boy, because they came to me because at the end of the day, they knew that I would speak up on it. See, that's what dudes do too. You got to watch out for the individuals that come to you all the time. Not the ones that just want to know about a dude. I'm talking about dudes that come to you all the time. Hey, man, what's going on with so-and-so? Is he all right? Nigga, you know he ain't all right. You know he ain't all right, and you're going to have him running a basketball team full of children and knowing he can be out anywhere and anything happen to him. And I say a basketball team because that's where you find a lot of these individuals trying to do. A lot of the rats, they try to work with the kids, but they don't tell the kids the truth. So what ends up happening is our community turns into one rat-infested area because the children are being taught to recycle crime. When you recycle crime, it's over and over and over again. So the rat goes in his tails. Then the next one they get that he told on, he goes in the tail. So it's recycled crime because nobody gets arrested and really do no time. When they do the time, they give them a little couple years and they come home and they get right back at it and they confusing our youth. And I'm telling the youngest, stop being pimped by money and cars. Stop being pimped by things that are materialistic. Don't let a dude tell you that he your OG all because he got a Bentley or all because he got $100,000. No, it's much more honor that in individuals that have very little. Find out from them individuals, man. And single parents and parents, period. Stop allowing your children to idolize these individuals. When you find out and you see that they idolizing them, you stop them right then and there. You give them the necessary things that they need to know. Listen, that guy's a bum. Yes, he does have temporary money, but at the end of the day, he's going to lose it if he doesn't stop it now and get into something positive, because at the end of the day, they are all either telling or on their way to jail for the rest of their life. Now think about it.